Hello and welcome to what promises to be another great fun evening on Off the Cuff or OTC. And great fun evening because once again, I have nothing to do here. It's our guest who takes over and makes sure that all of us have fun. All of us have all our questions answered. And all of us don't even have to serve and volley because Leander Paes, you do all of that. I'll watch the action from the baseline. So Leander, welcome to Off the Cuff and look at this wonderful audience that's gathered for you in your hometown. Sort of and sort of not. Because when you're in Calcutta, you say that's your hometown. When you're in Goa, you say that's your hometown.
Shekhar, it's such a treat to be with you today. As some of you all might not know, I call him my champion. And in this audience, I can see I have quite a few of my champions here. My father, my childhood buddies, people I look up to, my friends. To be with you on this show, it's been many a year since we actually went back to my roots in Goa.
Absolutely.
Where we walked the beaches. And when you are a global citizen, whether it's Mumbai, whether it's Kolkata, where I was born, whether it is Mumbai, which is home now, whether it is Goa, where my paternal roots are from, or whether it's Florida, where I do my training, I guess we're all global citizens now. So
Absolutely.
Home is where you lay your head.
And you know, before we get started, even if at the risk of embarrassing him, if I can ask Leander's father, Mr. Paes, to stand up for a second, sir. Played hockey for India, was a member of the Indian hockey team at Moscow Olympics, the last Indian hockey team to win the gold medal. So this is championship runs in the family, right there. And I was asking him, how does he deal with you? And he
doesn't.
said, look at my hair.
Well, I have actually had a question for him for the last 43 years, is that what was he thinking about in Munich when the games were shut down for 4 days?
Right.
What was he thinking? Because I was born 9 months later. He still hasn't answered that properly.
You know, this is called trolling in modern language. So this is the son trolling you using the immunity of the states. So what were you, maybe you can ask him, sir, get the microphone to Mr. Paes. What were you thinking at Munich when the Olympics were stopped and 9 months later he was born? That's a leading question.
Well, if it's equated to his birth, then it has to be sex. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Actually, what happened was we had the Israeli problem on where 12 of the
Israeli athletes were kidnapped
were killed. Were shot at the airport, and hence the game shut down for 2 days. So there was a lot of time to relax in those 2 days. Yeah, so that's how he became born.
So you got a confession out of him. But you know, you had evidence, so it's not such a big deal.
I guess I had no choice but to become an Olympic athlete, did I, Shekhar?
Absolutely. So, Leander, tennis. Let's start with tennis and let's see where we go then. What's right with Indian tennis and what's wrong with Indian tennis?
I think Indian tennis has come a long way. From when I left home on the 12th of May 1986 to pursue my tennis career, at that point, tennis was not my first love. Football was. And back then, we had a few tennis players that played the game. The Amritraj brothers were there, Ramesh Krishnan was there, Ramanathan Krishnan, Naresh Kumar, my mentor, paved a path that I actually followed. But really, we weren't world beaters. We were just journeymen at the time. We did well in the Davis Cup. We got to the championship round, but we had not won a Grand Slam or even got to the finals of a Grand Slam. So actually coming into my junior career, I had to pioneer and find a way. As our friendship goes back 30 years now.
Absolutely.
It's been a journey of perseverance. It's been a journey of trying to pave the path for all the youngsters coming through now to prove to them that we Indians can be world champions. I remember I had a conversation with one of my people that I look up to a lot, Ayaz, another champion of mine, sitting in the stands. He's been one person who's motivated me over the years. And over the years, we've asked the question, what else is there to do? What else is there to prove? But back then, I just wanted to be an Olympian. I wanted to emulate my father. I wanted to play for the flag. I wanted to play for the people. I remember polishing my dad's bronze medal when I was a kid. I used to use brasso. I used to use a cloth.
Bronze.
Exactly, and I used to polish this medal, and it gave me a sense of pride and a sense of patriotism. to do what I've done in the last 30 years. I think India today in tennis is doing phenomenally well. We've got 20 plus Grand Slam wins under our belt. We've got probably 50 approximate Grand Slam finals that we've reached. We've got an Olympic medal. We've got a female athlete who is doing very well on the pro tour, been #1 in the world in doubles. Mahesh and myself have created, that benchmark as well, being #1 in the world for several years. And we've got a lot of youngsters, champ, right now who have a lot of talent. What's wrong with Indian tennis? I think that we need to nurture these youngsters. Just as cricket has done, just as hockey has done, just as football is trying, just as badminton right now, which is the fastest growing sport in India, there is a system to nurture talent. I think Gopi Chand is doing a great job in badminton. So likewise, if we have professional training academies that can nurture this young talent, champ, and build them into being world beaters, that's the necessity of the day. It's like people like myself to take the responsibility to come back to India and nurture young talent through.
So we've seen this entire succession of Indian tennis players, men I'm talking about, because Davis Cup is male, say Ramanathan Krishnan, and even with him Jaideep Mukherjee and Premjit Lal, and then Ramesh, and then Vijay, and then you. All of you become different animals when you're playing Davis Cup. You play one quality of tennis in Davis Cup and quite another quality when you are journeyman, as you said. So how do you transform in Davis Cup?
I love your play on the animal instinct. I think that when you play for 1.2 plus billion people, it's a great sense of responsibility. For me, growing up with my parents, I used to iron my dad's jersey when he played for India. It was a light blue jersey.
Your mom was also a sports person.
That's right. Dad's playing jersey was #5, right, Dad? Mom's playing jersey was #10. And I used to sit back as a kid of the age of 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and I used to iron their jerseys. And even today, when I actually steam my jerseys down now because it's made of a different fabric, Climacool or dry fit as we call it, back then it was made of a synthetic material. I don't know how they breathed in those shirts. But I used to iron those #5 and #10 jerseys, and that gave me my sense of pride for playing for our people. I think that my biggest blessing is to have two parents that brought us 3 kids up in the most beautiful manner, with unconditional love, with a sense of passion and drive to be the best that we can be in anything. And I just chose to be a sportsman.
So what's wrong with Indian tennis?
I think it's to recognize young talent and nurture it all the way through, so we don't lose the 16-year-olds and the 17-year-olds to collegiate tennis. In the stands here, I also see a lot of young tennis players who all took their tennis repertoire and went to college in America, got a tennis scholarship which generally saved them about $250,000, which in Indian rupees is a lot of money for any parent to put their children through. They used those skills to get a full scholarship, went to college in America, came back with a business degree or a marketing degree or a journalism degree, and we lost them. That is tennis's loss. That's India's loss as far as sport go. So if we can take this young talent, Shekhar, and make them world champions in the field of tennis, then what my vision would be to have 1 million tennis players in our country who are playing at proper club level, amateur level. Because the more numbers that you churn out, just like Nick Bollettieri has done, the more numbers that you churn out in an academy, you're bound to have world-class players. If you have 10,000 athletes playing tennis, you might come up with 1 champion. If you have 100,000 athletes, you might come up with 2. If you have 1 million athletes, we might have 10. So for me, it's about trying to take tennis all across the country, make it a popular sport, just as cricket is done. And unlike most other athletes who complain about cricket, I say learn from cricket. The likes of a Saurav Ganguly, the likes of the Little Master, the likes of a Dhoni, the likes of a Virat Kohli now, the likes of a BCCI, the likes of every state body of cricket, the way they've taken cricket and made it a mass sport, I think is phenomenal. Every sport can learn from that.
Well, we are going into a dangerous area because a lot of people think that Indian cricket is in a deep mess and they're trying to fix it. Because in our country, we fix everything that's not broken.
Yep. Oh, very true. And also, I think that when there's a sport or there's a business that has such a magnitude, there are always going to be people pointing fingers. Now, I'm not getting into the governance of it because I'm not in the governance of cricket. I'm not getting behind the scenes into the nuances of how cricket runs because I wouldn't know better. But as a professional athlete, to see the way that the past cricketers are looked after, to see the way that the current cricketers are looked after, to see the way that an injured cricketer is looked after to go and get a surgery in Australia or America and his rehab done professionally, to see a system like an IPL, the way that the young budding talent champion can play with the Chris Gales of the world, can play with the Pontings of the world, can play with the Gangulys, Tendulkars, Dhonis of the world, rub shoulders with them, learn tricks in the locker room. To me, that helps the game grow. So without getting into the governance and the nuances of what's behind the scenes, I think cricket has done a great job to actually unite our country. It's like a religion. So I think that as far as...
So you want tennis to become something like that?
Very much so.
Do you think that we Indians have the physique and the bodies for today's tennis? Because today's tennis is so physical and so fast and so long-lasting in the sense the rallies go on forever.
The modern athlete body type and fitness levels are very unlike an Indian body type. Yes, the average height of a modern athlete, as my father who's a doctor of sports medicine will tell you, the average height is 6'5". I'm 5'10" on a good day, even when I'm in heels.
Sometimes it stands a bit taller.
When I play for the flag, I'm about an inch taller. But the average body weight of a professional athlete is about 90 to 100 kilos of just pure muscle mass. The fat fold percentage of a modern athlete is about 4%. The average fat fold of an Indian common man is 12%. So
just explain that. What does it mean?
So basically, the ratio between your muscle mass and your fat in your body is called the fat fold percentage.
I see.
So when we talk about six-pack abs, when we talk about, young Tiger Shroff, and he's a fabulous dancer, and last night I was there at the Nickelodeon Awards, and he ripped his shirt off in his dance moves, you can just see he's got 12 abs, 12-pack abs, not just six-pack abs. But the modern athlete, fitness levels and mental toughness is a prerequisite. So I think that, to come back to your question, fitness levels that are growing in India, mental toughness that is growing in India. You see the number of gyms that are opening up, the number of mental toughness gurus that are coming into the country are getting more. But I think where we Indians excel is the intellect. And I think that is where we can compete with the rest of the world. Strategy, choosing the right team around you, picking out the best partners, picking out the best teammates in a team sport.
I think in case of your sport, also picking out the best angles, which you do so well at the net.
Exactly right. You've got to play with your own God-given skills.
Because you don't want to play him on the net. Because on the net, you don't know what he'll do. He'll sneak it between your legs, drop it behind you. He knows the angles. He's the master of tennis geometry.
So we've got to play, exactly like you said, Champ, with our God-given skills. If I'm having to play against a Pete Sampras back in the day, or a Boris Becker back in the day, or currently if I have to play against a young Misha Zverev, the boy is 6'7". He's got arms that are almost twice my length. He's serving from a height that I would dream of. I cannot combat against him in power. But where I can combat against him is in terms of endurance, in terms of strategy, intellect, and in terms of speed. So like Champ just said, we've got to use our own God-given skills and play with that.
So Leander, what went wrong this time at the Olympics? We should have come back with a couple of medals. See, if we have two doubles players who get into at least the last four stage of every Grand Slam tournament now, how could we come back without a medal? In fact, 3, because even Bopana gets into a lot of doubles.
You know, I'm not one to pull punches. I've not been one to be shy of the truth. But that being said, the fact that there were 3 great athletes that went to represent India at the Olympics, we came just shy of winning a medal.
Right.
In the mixed doubles, Rohan and Sania had a real chance to win a medal. And I always believed that mixed doubles was where our Indian chance was this year to covet a medal. Just as I believed in London, on the grass of the All England Club, SW19 as we know it, I felt our best chance was in the men's doubles. In 2012, coming into the Olympics, I'd won the Australian Open with Radek Stepanek in the men's doubles, and subsequently I won the US Open with Radek as well, 3 months after the Olympics. And I felt at that point the men's doubles was the event that I was going after. But at this Olympics, the mixed doubles was our real chance. And I think we came just shy of it. But literally there were a couple matches, couple serves, couple points. I felt that India could have come back with a medal at this Olympics.
So you said you were not mincing your words and pulling your punches. Did we get something wrong at the Olympics? Could we have fielded better teams? You know what I'm coming to.
I know exactly what you're getting at. And the obvious would be the question that you're stating. But I'm not someone who cries over spilt milk. I've already coveted an Olympic medal. I've already played 7 Olympics. My dream has always been to put India on the map. Not just the Indian map, not just the Asian map. My dream is to bleed blue and play with the flag on my back to put India on the global map.
But I presume
And
that
to me, to get to Rio was to create that world record in tennis, where no athlete on the planet in tennis had ever played 7 Olympics.
And you dream of playing the next one also. Number 8, don't trust him. Pancho Gonzalez played till 47.
Yes,
In
Pancho
those
was
days.
one of the great athletes. Jimmy
Right.
Connors played till 41.
Yeah.
At 43 right now, champ, I don't know how much tennis I have left in me. Not because I can't do it. I figured a way how to win Grand Slams. I figured a way how to stay young and beat the time clock.
What are these antagonisms in Indian tennis? Let's talk about them.
I think it's relationships. I don't think it's fair for me to sit here
So
and...
are you guys taking personal relationships to the court?
I don't think that's one thing Mahesh and myself are very good at. We're very different as people. We're very different as the way we conduct ourselves, the way we run our business, the way we present ourselves. But when we got on the court, we left all of that off the court.
Right.
And that's one thing I respect about Mahesh, is when we got on the court, we fought for
You were
India.
constantly shoulder to shoulder. In
We
fact, those
chest
shoulder
bumped.
bumps and chest
Not just the
bumps,
shoulder
yes.
bumps, the chest bumps.
Right.
And that passion, that power, that energy was there for India. And that's something that we were able to prove as young Indian boys, that we could be world beaters. But I think that the essence of that is kind of lost right now. You know, right now I think that as much as everyone wants their name in the limelight, wants to make hay while the sun shines in their initials, and there's nothing wrong about that. But I think the most important and the essence of life is to do something that's greater than yourself, and that is playing for your country. That is playing for your people.
No, there was an expression used when some of us were complaining that we did not put out the best combinations at the Olympics. There was an expression used without naming anybody that you can't play with somebody who's toxic. Was it referring to you? And if so, why?
As you can see, Shekhar, I'm ducking to your bouncers because of the fact that it's not fair for me to be on stage here and say that I'm right and they're wrong. Because the next time they'll say they're right and I'm wrong. It's a matter of perspective.
This is Sania Mirza who tweeted that you can't play with somebody who's toxic.
Correct.
But she didn't name anybody.
But also on saying that, every human being in a democracy has a valid right to their opinion. Now, Sania has her opinion, which I respect. I have my opinion, which I respect. Rohan has his opinion, which I respect. You got 1.2 billion Indians that have their opinion, which I respect. But when it comes to playing for the country, It's beyond anybody's personal opinion.
So,
Country becomes before self.
so would India have been better off if we had a strong association which read the riot act? Because in cricket, nobody can tell anybody that you will not bowl with so-and-so or you will not open with so-and-so. Nobody has that choice. Nobody makes that choice.
Correct?
If you make that choice, you go home.
Correct?
So could India have done better with a stronger association?
Let
or
me
with a
answer your
stronger
question
IOC?
after the 5th time you've asked it. I'll leave it to you to figure out. But in the 12 months leading to the Olympics, there was one gentleman who won 4 mixed doubles titles, all 4 Grand Slams leading into the Olympics. And there was one young lady who won a mixed doubles title and competed at the French Open against me. We so happened to be from the same country. The rest I leave to your opinion.
Question that has intrigued me for a long time. In the world of business and commerce, which is where I have spent my career, we always talk about whether Indian managers tend to be more political than others. Since the subject has come to sport, I would like to have your view about the world of tennis, and if you can, on the world of sport.
I thought we were talking about the Tatas. Indian managers tending to be more political.
That's another bouncer at up.
So could you comment whether in the way you have observed sport in other countries, is the world of tennis or sport more political in India? And could that retard our ambitions of the kind you described to be world class in sport?
Gopal sir, that's a great question. There are many shades to that question that actually resonates through our Indian society. And we live in a society, especially a modern society of social media, where people are very cautious of speaking the truth or living the truth. I believe in a sporting world, when you're playing as an individual professional, you have a right to your own opinion, yes. But when you're living in a sporting world that's playing for the country, pertinent to your question, when you play for the flag, in the Davis Cup, in the Olympics, when you're playing for the flag and representing the flag, politics should not come in. It should not be personal preferences.
But it does come in.
It should not be discrimination of caste, creed, color, religion, or I like your face, so you're going to be my partner. You say I'm the best thing to slice bread, so hence come play with me. When you're playing for the country, or when you're working for the country, you take the best team possible. You choose the best man or woman for the job. There is no politics, there is no place for politics when you're playing for the country.
Some of this is also meant for the person who called you toxic.
I'm not going to sit up here and, be toxic against her, because I respect her for what she's done.
Would you call her toxic?
Never.
Never.
Never ever. Why? Because I respect somebody. Why? Because she's a lady. Why? Regardless of what she is, I'm a
for the
gentleman.
flag with as much passion as you do.
Yes, she does.
She does.
And that respect is there. Each human being conducts themselves with their class and their quality. If someone takes to social media, and I'm not just talking about Sania here, because I respect her for what she's done fabulous. I think she's a great role model for female athletes or female women in our country. I think the Indian woman is one of the most beautiful positions we have in the global world today. You look at the top bankers in the world, Indian women. You look at some of the most creative business people in the world, Indian women. We are the only democracy that's had, one of the only democracies that has had a female prime minister. The free world in America just now fought for their first female president. She just missed out.
Since you are a senior citizen of Indian tennis and active now in mainstream, would you use your moral authority and years, I don't even want to say maturity because people might laugh at me, to bring about a thaw in Indian tennis? Because there is a lot of personal antagonism. That antagonism is toxic, irrespective of who's responsible. It's not for us to hold a court of inquiry, but it is toxic.
There have been many a time that, champ, I've extended my hand in the so-called olive branch, or the so-called, the game is bigger than us. It's not about individual beings. It's about the sport of tennis. It's about India. Sania and myself have won an Asian Games gold a few times.
Right.
Mahesh and myself have won Grand Slams. Rohan and myself have had some great ties in Davis Cup, especially against Serbia and Bangalore. But not just to name...
And Serbia is a tough team.
Yes, they've got the world champion singles player, Djokovic. Yes. They've got a multiple Grand Slam champion, Zimonjic. Great team. We were down 2-0, came back and won in 5. That being said, it's not about individuals. I think that apart from the patriotism, apart from the quality with which we walk as individuals that stand out for our own self-expression, I think the cake is big enough for everybody to eat out of it. But at the end of the day, the sport should actually flourish. At the end of the day, the country should be put on the global map. What are we fighting over? Nonsense. We've all made our names. We've all been Grand Slam champions. What good is it going to do? Some people gang up here, some people gang up here, some people do this, some people do that. I'm accused of being the closest to the association just because I play for the country. Perceptions are very unique. Vocabulary can be spoken so beautifully to give you a perception. And social media and media itself that can be bought and played to give you perception.
And personal chemistry is very complex.
Personal chemistry is not only complex, but when you come on the court to play for the country, that same personal chemistry is for the flag. It's not for the commercial values that you get outside that tennis court. It's not for the branding that you get on social media, not for the millions of fan followers, so-called friends on social media that you get. The truth and quality with which you conduct yourself speaks of your history. The history books that you rewrite by winning multiple Grand Slams and Davis Cups and Olympics, at the end of the day, क्या होंगे? 10 साल के बाद हम लोग सब रिटायर कर चुकेंगे, तब
तुम्हारा भरोसा नहीं है,
दोबारा भरोसा नहीं है,
तुम्हारा भरोसा नहीं है, रिटायर करोगे?
यार,
सच्ची बात
राज बहुत हो चुके हैं ना, Dad.
Questions, please.
Okay, Leander, I'll just move the issue from tennis. So, do you feel that in India, or Indian sports persons have come of age, to compete at the Olympics? There was always this, and across sports, that when you came up against a bigger rival or a better team, you almost lost the match before you went in to compete. Has that mindset changed, that defeatist mindset? Oh, Indians, we participated, theek hai, Olympics khel ke aa gaya, bas hai. Has that changed in your, what's your experience across, not just tennis, but across sports?
100%. And Ayaz, I think that it's changed also because of people like y'all. Because y'all have been writing about sport, y'all have been historians of sport, y'all have been creators of the modern day athlete. So even today, after playing, 28, 29 years in my profession, when y'all write about the last match that you watched in cricket at Lord's, or the last Olympics that he went to, we guys read and look up to y'all. We read your work and try and reinvent ourselves. So if you look at a young Virat Kohli, you look at our young shuttlers, you look like Sindhu, you look at our young shooters, you look at our young wrestlers, you look at our young golfers. First time in the Olympics, they went to golf in Brazil. Look how confident they are. Look how they conduct themselves.
They're so young. This Aditi Ashok is a kid.
Exactly.
And now she's doing so well on the circuit.
Phenomenal. I think these young athletes are great ambassadors to India. And there's still tremendous room for improvement, because one thing to represent your country, like you said, it's another thing to be a world beater and win at major events, win an Olympic medal, win a Grand Slam, become world champion. I think there's also an essence there, Ayaz, champ, that the modernization of sport also, a lot of young athletes are looking for quick stardom. And this is where you guys, who are the historians of sport and the creators of certain big brands, that you all have taught us the way on how to rewrite the history books.
You talked on the one side about problems with Indian tennis, and on the other side about how many Grand Slams we've won in the last decade, 2 decades. There's been, some criticism about the fact that, we've done well only in the doubles and not in singles. And some people like, John McEnroe have even gone on record and said, doubles tennis is only for those people who are not good enough or quick enough for singles. What do you have to say about that, Leander?
One, I take offense to the singles because I've coveted my Olympic medal in singles. I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek because, like I said, it's a free world the last time I checked, so everybody has an opinion. But when you're playing for a Davis Cup record for the most number of wins in singles, doubles, and so on and so forth, they club together. I think Johnny Mack, one of the greatest players of all time, was one of the few individuals to be number 1 in the world in singles and number 1 in the world in doubles, along with Peter Fleming, his partner. He probably has the authority to make a comparison. But that being said, how many singles players back then played doubles compared to today? Today, 4 months ago, Rafael Nadal, one of the greatest singles players of all time, coveted a doubles Olympic gold medal with Mark Lopez, his childhood friend. That's a dream that Rishi and myself had together. When we cut class at La Martiniere to go to Davis Cup and be ball boys for the country, we were both ball boys for India. Our dream was to play for India. Or at the same time, Roger Federer in Beijing, he's never coveted a medal in singles in the Olympics, but he coveted a doubles gold with his partner, Stan Wawrinka, Stan the man. So if you look at it, the modern day singles player is entrenched into doubles.
Not on the tour.
On the tour, I could name, you're a historian of sport, you're a writer. So you look at the Indian Wells tournament, Palm Springs as we call it. Look how many times Rafa Nadal has won there or Roger Federer has won there. Look at the NASDAQ Open, which is now called the Miami Open. Look how many times Federer has won there. He's beaten me in 3 finals. You look at the Shanghai Open. You look at Davis Cup. How many of them, Andy Murray, plays doubles in Davis Cup with his brother Jamie Murray?
I think the question also is, do these require different skill sets? Because Indians seem to do much better in doubles than singles.
Correct.
We still haven't won a singles slam.
Correct.
Right? In doubles and mixed doubles, we at some point will get to 100. Right? If we add everything together. So what is it about us Indians that we are much better at doubles? Even when we are off court at our partners' throats.
Let me answer your question this way. What we need to covet a Grand Slam victory in singles is physical endurance, mental toughness, endurance, and we need past Grand Slam champions to come back into the country and nurture the young talent to also become Grand Slam champions.
Hi Leander, I'm Ruhi Tiwari, I work with ThePrint as well. Leander, I just want to know, as a sports person, do you think sports should be allowed to be affected by politics and strained relations with other countries? In short, should India stop playing against Pakistan only because of escalated tensions at the LOC?
Ruhi, tough question. Put me on the spot, but I will answer it. World War II was stopped for 14 days for the Olympics. I'm an Olympic baby, I'm an Olympic player, I'm an Olympic world record holder, and I'm an Olympic champion. Sport is a vehicle to bridge people through caste, color, creed, and religion. India and Pakistan should play together.
Thanks.
Do you have a message for warmongering, primetime warmongering, which says, how dare you play with Pakistan? You know, if they had had their way, Indian women would not have played Pakistan in the Asia Cup and forfeited. Now they won the championship.
मैं हिंदी में कहना चाहता
हाँ,
हूँ
बोलो।
लड़ो मत, खेलो. It's as simple as that. Racket, cricket bat, hockey stick se lado. Magar मैदान पे.
As soon as I walked in, you said something about finding the mantra for eternal youth and staying young. That's something which is always useful, particularly for actors. So please elaborate on that, even as you put a lot of cosmeticians out of business, because this is going to be on TV, but please do elaborate on that.
As the fountain of youth goes, I like to surround myself with champions who have a vigor and a passion for life, regardless of what field they're in. Because that old cliche, birds of a feather, I actually twist that around and say, if you surround yourself with negativity, you become pessimistic and negative. If you surround yourself with champions, and that's why I call you a champion, you actually learn what champions eat, you learn what champions sleep, you learn how they breathe, you learn how they surround themselves with quality people, you learn how they carve out and they niche their path to success. And if I can learn through friendship of befriending champions, that's how I keep myself young, reinventive, humble, take myself with a pinch of salt, and learn from my mistakes. So even if someone writes something negative about me, I actually look into it and say, has he got something there that's actually got something real? Or is it just plugging someone else's, day in the sunshine? Well, I'm going to ask you all humbly to give my champion, Shekhar, someone who I love sharing the stage with, someone who is my mentor, someone who is my dearest friend, someone who I love very dearly. I learn a lot from you, Shekhar, because you're happy, you're positive, you move India, and you're very real.
Not my forehand or backhand.
Well,
That
the
won't
way you
get you very
volleyed
far.
some of those tough questions, I want to ask you what you're doing in July next year in 2017, because there's a small event called Wimbledon. Will you partner me?
Oh, absolutely. But absolutely, if Martina Navratilova could do it, maybe at my age I can do it, obviously for men's doubles.
Please give Shekhar a big hand, because I love this man.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much for watching. We promise you one more guest next time, equally interesting. As much fun, I don't know, but we'll try, because Leander is a tough act to follow. So Leander, thank you very much.